Brewery. By the way, I have a Charlie's care package in the back of my car. Come on, 6-pack of Golden Pilsner.
All right, the time is now 6 p.m. Our regular City Council meeting for May 10th, 2021 is now in session. First on the agenda was Councilmember Scott was delivering the, not here. I'll go ahead and deliver the opening prayer. Heavenly Father, we gather here tonight to conduct matters of our city. But as we provide this council, we see that we are gifted by so many of our members that service our city, EMS, Economic Development, our police department, and also Public Works. We thank them for everything that they have contributed to our city, and we pray for them each day as each day provides us new challenges. In God's name, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one nation, under God, one and indivisible.
You want us to hurry up and get out of here?
We have several proclamations that we're reading tonight. First, I'd like to have the representatives from our economic development please join me up here. City of Schertz Proclamation, Economic Development Week, May 9th through May 15th, 2021. Whereas economic developers promote economic well-being and the quality of life for our community by creating and retaining jobs that facilitate growth, support workforce development, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. Whereas the City of Schertz has a rich history of mayors, city council, boards and commissioners, city staff, chamber of commerce, public-private partners, and residents who together promote economic development. Whereas in 1998, with voter approval, the City of Schertz Economic Development Corporation was established to lead the city's efforts to grow our economy in accordance with the provisions of the Development Corporation Act of 1979. Whereas in the spirit of teamwork, the Schertz Economic Development Corporation and the City of Schertz work in unity to grow our local economy through the attraction and retention of primary jobs, providing infrastructure to attract new businesses, and supporting career training. Whereas the economic development efforts by this community have helped both small and large companies significant capital investments within our city and create jobs for our residents. Now, therefore, I, Ralph Gutierrez, Mayor for the City of Schertz, and with City Council, hereby proclaim the week of May 9th through May 15th, 2021 as Economic Development Week, and reaffirm the city's support and commitment to seeking out opportunities to further our economic development by investing in our local community. Adrian, thank you so much. Thank you for you and your team. You'd like to say a couple words, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. My name is Adrian Bettis. I'm the director of the Schertz Economic Development Corporation. You know, I'm particularly moved by the words in the proclamation that speak to teamwork. Economic development is indeed a team sport. And so we take this week to really say thank you to the partners that make economic development possible. You know, when we talk about the chambers, the school districts, our development partners, the utilities, the government and elected officials that have strong economic development policy that make our community competitive for jobs and investment. We value that, and so for us this week is a matter of saying thank you.
All right, next we have EMS. If I can have the representatives from EMS, please join me up here. All right, awesome. The City of Schertz proclamation, the 46th Annual National EMS Week 2021. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service and members of the emergency medical service team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rates of those who experience sudden illness or injuries. Whereas the emergency medical service system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, first responders, educators, administrators, and others. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of the medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. Now, therefore, in appreciation for their valuable contribution to the City of Schertz and the surrounding communities, that the City of Schertz and the Schertz City Council hereby commend and congratulate our Schertz Emergency Medical Services for their outstanding dedication, pre-hospital care to the citizens of the area, and hereby join the United States of America and the state of Texas by designating May 16th through May 22nd, 2021 as Emergency Medical Service Week with the theme, Caring for Our Community. And indeed, they do care for our community and how much we appreciate that we see those ambulances on our roads. Thank you so much. And would you like to say a couple words?
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Jason Abbott. I'm the EMS director, and I want to say what an honor it is to work with such a great staff. I do want to actually recognize, he's going to be embarrassed. Matt, come on up here. Just bear with me. Matt, after 31 years with the EMS department in the city, is retiring. Tomorrow is his last shift. So I do want to recognize Matt. We won't make you talk at all.
I think
Tyler and I, yeah.
Tyler, come on.
Act like y'all love each other.
I've been vaccinated. Get closer, get closer.
Closer, closer.
How you doing, man? Long time no see. Don't be a stranger.
I just want to point out, it has been a challenging year with the COVID-19, and thank you, all of you, for everything that you have done for this community. All right, if I can have representatives from our police department, please come and join us up here. The City of Schertz Proclamation, National Police Week 2021. Whereas members of the City of Schertz Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our citizens in Schertz. Whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, the hazards, the sacrifices of their law enforcement agencies, and that the members of the law enforcement agencies recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and protecting the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression. Whereas the men and women of the Schertz Police Department play vital public service. Now, therefore, I, Ralph Gutierrez, Mayor for the City of Schertz, call upon all citizens of Schertz and upon all patriots, civic and educational organizations to observe the week of May 9th, 2021 through May 14th, 2021 as a National Police Week with appropriate ceremonies and observations in which all the people may join in commending our law enforcement officers, past, present, and who faithfully, with their loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities. Gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much again. You're the reason why a lot of people choose to live here in Schertz. You provide us with our safety, which is the most important thing that we cherish. Thank you so much. Chief, like to say a couple words?
Thank you, Mayor. Certainly during these trying times, it's has become even more important and appreciated for these ceremonies and recognitions. And we want to assure everyone we realize what a blessed community we are fortunate to be a part of. And I do want to remind everyone at 6 p.m. tomorrow at Santico, we're having the joint Cibolo and Schertz Police Memorial event. We invite everyone to come out for that.
Chief.
Do it in. Y'all love each other. Go ahead. Go ahead. Really don't like it. You just push him there.
I just smacked him.
Just want to add a special note. May 15th, 2021 is National Peace Officers Memorial Day to honor those officers through their courage and deeds have made an ultimate sacrifice and service for their community. So please, on this Saturday, please join me in this memorial. Thank you. We have one more proclamation. If I can have the Public Works team please come and join me. The City of Schertz Proclamation, National Public Works Week, May 16th through May 22nd, 2021. And their theme is Stronger Together. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital, important to sustain and resilient communities, and to the public health and high quality of life and well-being of the people of Schertz. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of our public works professionals. These are engineers, managers, employees of all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. Whereas it is public interest for citizens and civic leaders and children of Schertz, Texas, to gain knowledge and to maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and the public works programs in respective to their communities. Whereas in the year 2021 marks the 61st Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Now let it be resolved, I, Ralph Gutierrez, Mayor for the City of Schertz, do by designate the week of May 16th through May 22nd, 2021 as National Public Works Week. And I urge all citizens to join in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals. Williams, would you like to say a couple words?
Thank you very much. I'm Suzanne Williams, the Director of Public Works, and I have often told Charles Kelm that I have the best job in the world, and that's very true, and the reason I have the best job in the world is the team that works by my side. And Stronger Together is truly what they are. That was shown through the ice storm, especially in our most recent memory. These men and women worked without sleep. They went many, many hours without food, without sleep, and it took every single division to make it work, from the fleet division, the facilities division, water, wastewater, drainage, and streets, and the administrative part of it, but it took all of them. And together they were a success, and I'm looking forward to continue to work with them because the team is what it's about. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to add, it has been a very challenging year from our economic development, which was a standstill because of COVID, to our EMS, to providing for our community, to our public works also during the ice storm that we had, and our police department protecting our city streets. Thank you all so much. All right, we'll move on to employee recognition. First, we have EMS.
Tonight I'm here to introduce my new team member, Megan Stevens. She started on April 12th as our EMS billing specialist. She grew up here in Schertz. She now resides in San Antonio. She attended Brightwood College for medical billing and coding. She is married and a mother of 3. And as one of her hobbies, she's a race car driver. So Megan, we're happy to have her. You want to say anything, Megan?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to working with the city of Schertz.
Well, welcome. Welcome to our community. Welcome to our team.
All right, Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown, good evening. I have one new full-time paramedic to introduce to you this evening, Jason Lullick. He started with the city also on April 12th. He grew up in San Diego area, spent some summers in Michigan, so he got the best of both worlds there. He comes to us from the Bay Area in Northern California, now lives here in Schertz. Jason attended paramedic school in Sonoma County, California, and interned in Oakland, California. He's been serving in EMS for about 18 years now. He's been married to his wife for 9 years, has 2 children, Braden, who is 6, and Adeline, who's 4. Jason is a family man, loves the outdoors. He enjoys golfing, camping, and going to the shooting range. So please welcome Jason to the EMS department.
Welcome, Jason. Mike's all yours.
Just want to thank you for the opportunity to come here, use my skill set that I've had for the 18 years, bring it to this community to serve you guys. And don't worry, I won't California or Texas.
Welcome. Welcome to our team.
I had one other person to introduce you to tonight. Unfortunately, he's out running calls right now, so hopefully we can get him at the next introduction. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to facility services. Ms. Williams.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. I am thrilled to introduce Travis Hodges to you. Travis Hodges is our new facilities manager. In his short tenure here, he has already added great value to Public Works as well as the city. I've been able to practice my delegating skills and given him some projects off my plate, so it's felt really good. Travis has a lovely wife and 2 children. They contribute to his favorite holiday of Christmas. His favorite holiday is Christmas, and that's because of the family traditions they have. One unique thing Travis shared with me is that his historical background has been in the private industry. And so now he gets to be a public servant, and he's really enjoying that aspect of the facility services. So with that, welcome, Travis Hodges. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here, and I look forward to contributing to the team.
Welcome. Welcome aboard. All right, we'll move on to Public Works.
Some of y'all may not know me. I'm Stephen Mayfield. I'm the new water wastewater manager. I would like to introduce you to our new service worker, Wilfredo Moroccan. He also goes by Will. A little background on him. One of his favorite classes in school was history. His first job was working at Laundry's Seafood House in San Antonio. His favorite holiday, though, is Christmas, mostly because he likes spending time with his family. In his spare time, he likes watching football and welding. He finds spending time with his nieces and nephews very relaxing, His favorite part of working at the city so far is being able to learn something new on a daily basis.
Well, just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to, like I said, learning new things and just being an asset to the team.
Welcome to our team.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Dr. Brown. I'd like to say a few things about Mr. Rodriguez here. He's our newest member to our Streets Department. He has 3 brothers, 2 sisters, his parents, 1 niece, 1 nephew, and his grandmother. His first job was at Bill Miller's Barbecue. What he likes about this job so far is the friends he has made and the new things he has learned. Thanksgiving is his favorite holiday because it brings the family and the good food together. His favorite hobby is bowling. He likes the San Antonio Spurs as his favorite team. His dream vacation, Hawaii. He loves art and doing anything with his family. Mr. Ruben Rodriguez.
Just want to thank you guys for the opportunity. Being out of a job for a little while due to COVID was definitely a trying time, but I'm glad to be working here.
Welcome. Welcome aboard. And we have utility billing.
Good evening, council members, city manager, mayor. I'm very glad to introduce Caris Kempen. Caris Kempen is a current resident of the city of Schertz. She has lived here for the majority of her life. She graduated from Samuel Clemens High School in 1998 and will see her daughter, Catherine, graduating from Samuel Clemens in the year 2024. Caris actively volunteers with events with the city of Schertz. This year marked her 3rd year assisting with moving on Main. She has also worked in different facets of the city in addition to the volunteering. Caris is very happy to be back working with the utility billing department, and she is, I believe, is a great asset for our department as well. Caris.
Just to say thank you, and I'm glad to be back.
All right. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome to our team. All right, we'll move on to city events and the announcements of upcoming events.
Good evening, council, mayor. I'm Charles Kim, assistant city manager. We have the Sweetheart Court Scholarship Program for 2021-22. Applications are ongoing and they're available at the city's website at schertz.com. The deadline to apply is Thursday, May 20th. Dr. Scagliola, your favorite kickball league is ongoing right now. Sundays, April 18th through May 23rd. Come enjoy watching the league, 21 years and older, and that is sponsored by the Schertz Parks and Rec Social League. Games are played Sunday evenings, 6 to 10 p.m. through May 23rd at Thulin-Meyer Park. On Wednesday, May 12th, as the chief said, we have the Cibolo Schertz Fallen Texas Officer Ceremony at Santikos from 6 p.m. to 7:20. That's at 18124 IH 35 North in Cibolo. On Thursday, May 13th, we have the Northeast Partnership Meeting from 11:30 to 1 at Olympia's Hills Golf and Conference Center in Universal City. Please RSVP to Ms. Dennis. On Tuesday, May 18th, we have the next Council on the Go meeting. It's a great new venue at St. John Paul II Catholic High School cafeteria. Meet and greet is from 6 until 7 p.m., and then the meeting is from 7 until 8:30 p.m. And that is 6720 FM 482 in New Braunfels. And then on Tuesday, May 25th is the next regularly scheduled council meeting. And that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charles. All right, announcements and recognitions by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
Just have one this evening, Mayor. I'd like to recognize Chelsea Garcia of our police department. Chelsea took the initiative to successfully complete a 10-week academic course to become a polygraph examiner. And so it was a very challenging course from the Department of Public Safety. She was introduced to a variety of studies, including the history of polygraphs, instrumentation, question formulation, physiology, psychology, laws, and ethics. So pretty broad and diverse curriculum. I want to congratulate Chelsea on her initiative. She now begins a period of internship, and she has to do 10 polygraphs over the next year, and then she'll become fully certified. So looking forward to having her as a part of our team and able to administer polygraph examinations. So congratulations, Chelsea.
All right. Next is announcements and recognitions by the mayor. I have none. So we'll move on to the hearing of residents. This time is set aside for anyone who wishes to address the city council. Each person is limited to 3 minutes, and we ask before addressing the council, for the record, please state your name and address. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, please call the first speaker.
Robert Bellin, Jr.
Robert Bellin, and my wife and I have lived at 3600 Augusta Glade, and we've been homeowners there since 1999. So we're some of the originals in Carolina.
I'm speaking to the mic, please.
We're some of the original residents of the Carolina Crossing, so we're very much affected by the development in back of us. So because we were concerned and shared concerns of the other residents, we collected 25 other names of residents, and we submitted those in email. We wanted to make sure that the council was aware that the citizens are very engaged in this process and aware of how it will change the environment. And people were telling me that they're going to end up with like 3 houses on their fence line. So the back fences of 3 other buildings will now face them and the backyard that they used to look out over, and many of them say they used to watch the deer. So this is a very, this is a very tuned in community, very aware, and this is very important to them. Some are retired, some are young family members, they have young families, professionals, so very engaged in this process. I just wanted you to be aware that this should be in the record, and according to the initial response, it did meet the criteria of 20% of the affected area. Don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but that's the email we got back from Ms. Delgado. So please be aware that you are dealing with folks who are engaged, and we do care about this, and we do believe that we have the necessity of a 75% vote on this one for approval, because we do have the 20% threshold. Thank you very much. Thank you for your work, your consideration, and the opportunity to speak to you.
All right. Ms. Dennis, is there any hearing of residents submitted in writing?
I did not receive any, Mayor.
Okay. We'll move on to consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered self-explanatory, and information packets were provided to council and available for public viewing. These items require no special discussion unless requested by council. Item number 1, consideration or action regarding the approval of the minutes of our regular meeting on May 5th, 2021. Item number 2, appointments and resignations to board and commissions and committees. Number 1 is the resignation of Paul Risen, Transportation Safety Advisory. Number 2 is the resignation of John Baker, Sabrina Allen, Sue Bolsonock for the Historical Preservation Committee. Number 3 is the appointment of Jesse Gonzalez, Jason Batarik to the Historical Preservation Committee. And number 4 was the appointment of Ronald Stevens to the Transportation Safety Advisory Commission. Item number 3 is resolution number 21R39, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing a contract with Myers Concrete Construction, LP, related to the 2020 silt removal project and authorizing the budget expenditures for the project. Item number 4, resolution number 21R42, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into a design-build agreement with the Team Mechanics of Texas LLC for the Animal Adoption Center HVAC replacement project and other matters in connection therewith. Item number 5, resolution number 21R40, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, approving a budget amendment to the Schertz-Seguin Local Government Corporation fiscal year 2021 annual budget and other matters in connection therewith. This is also in reference to SSLGC resolution number SSLGC R21-23. Mayor Pro Tem, will you proceed with the others?
Item number 6, resolution number 21R41, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the submission of a grant application in amount up to $36,950.06 to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Division for the 2021 State Homeland Security Grant Urban Area Security Initiative Program and authorizing the acceptance of the funds upon award. Number 7, resolution number 21R43, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing the city manager to enter into an interlocal agreement for fire protection services with Bexar County and other matters in connection therewith. Number 8, ordinance number 21T19, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, authorizing an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021 budget to provide funding for the professional services related to the Corbett ground storage tank, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, and providing an effective date. First reading. Number 9, ordinance number 21A13, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, providing for the extension of the boundary lines of the City of Schertz, Texas by the annexation of approximately 35.5 acres of land located in Bexar County, generally located approximately 4,000 feet southeast of the intersection between FM 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County Property Identification Numbers 310024 and 310031. Final reading. Item number 10, ordinance number 21S14, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately 39.5 acres of land to Planned Development District, PDD, located approximately 4,000 feet southeast of the intersection between FM 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County Property Identification Numbers 310024 and 310031, Bexar County, Texas. Final reading. Number 11, ordinance number 21S15, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately 66 acres of land to Planned Development District, PDD, generally located southwest of the intersection between Schertz Parkway and Wiederstein Road, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas. Final reading.
Thank you. Council, do any of these items need to be removed for separate consideration?
Mayor, I'd like to, I just have a comment about item 5, and then I'd like to pull, well, 10 and 11 don't really belong on the consent agenda.
Okay, Council, any others? Okay, is there a motion to approve items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker and second by Councilman Scagliola.
That was Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Brown. Okay. Any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, we have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. Before we continue, I wanted to go over the workshop. Are we ready to present the workshop, Chief, before we go into the items? Okay, we're going to address item number 12, and then we'll come back to items 5, 10, and 11. Item number 12 is a workshop discussion and update regarding the COVID-19 virus and our current ordinance number 20H18, our declaration of local disaster. Ms. Hall, you have the floor.
Good evening. Summer Hall, Emergency Management Coordinator for the city, is bringing the COVID update for this evening. So this week, our vaccination clinics, as they are starting to wind down, we are seeing that more and more of the people that have wanted to be vaccinated have already done so. So we have a couple of clinics going on this week. May 12th and 13th, tomorrow and Thursday, we have second dose Moderna clinics. And on Friday, the 14th, we have a second dose Pfizer clinic. We'll also be going into the two high schools, Steele and Clemens, on Friday for their second dose of Pfizer that we gave 3 weeks ago at the school. This week in Guadalupe County, we have seen an increase in fully vaccinated. So we're up to 34% in 16 and older and 57% in 65 plus that have been fully vaccinated. The single dose of 65 and older has reached 68%, and that was real encouraging since their original hope was that we would get to a 70% vaccination, so that was encouraging to see at the 65 and older. Current numbers for this week, so we've got active cases for Guadalupe County are at, active cases for Guadalupe County is at 143. For Comal County, it is up this week at 357 active cases, and for Bexar County, it's at 4,002. The school district cases are up a little bit this week as well, mostly at the high school level with Steele and Clemens. Steele has, I think, 11 of those 31 cases, and Clemens has about 5 of those. The rest of them are sprinkled throughout the elementary schools. So the governor did extend the declaration on May 5th, and as it has been in the past, the City of Schertz declaration will continue to follow. We will bring a recommendation in the June council about whether to continue that declaration, whether we feel like the need is still there to continue that declaration or not. So we'll bring that next month to the council for you guys to evaluate and discuss. Testing positivity rate, we're kind of seeing things are starting to flatline and come to a plateau. So we're staying at about 3-4% on testing positivity. Regardless of what type of test, it's been remaining about the same. So we're still at the 4.38% molecular and the 3% for antigen. Daily new cases, you can see on the graph there, that is also remaining pretty steady. We've kind of hit a plateau in many of these areas. And I'm not sure if that's indicative of what we'll see as we come in the future months, but for the past several weeks, they've been kind of flatlined out. Same thing, we've been hovering right under that 4% of hospitalization rates for our trauma service area. And around the state, those numbers are staying pretty constant throughout the state for the various hospitalization rates. Everybody has stayed still well within that green area. Remember that 15% was our critical area. If we were having 15% of hospitalizations were related to COVID, then that's when it was concerning for us. And so all around the state, we're staying well below that 15%. So that's good news as well. The hospitalization rates specifically to Bexar County. So we're looking at 210 current COVID patients in the hospital system here in the San Antonio area. 68 of those are in ICUs, and 34 of those are using ventilators at this point. So again, we do not have a concern currently with hospitalizations. These numbers are sort of staying, as you can see, kind of a flat line of those, so it's kind of just seems to be where we're at right now. So not a lot of up and down, just sort of status quo from week to week. And that's the end of the numbers update for this week. Are there any questions?
All right, thank you, Ms. Hall. Council, any questions? Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
So do we anticipate getting more doses for first dose? And if so, is it all walk-in at this point, or are you still taking appointments?
So we have a one more first dose clinic scheduled, but it's a smaller one. We are not actively receiving additional doses. We still have, we've had a lot of cancellations over the past several clinics, so we're utilizing those doses to finish out our second dose commitments, and then any current people that are walking in to those second dose clinics, we're accommodating those as well. So we're not actively creating new first dose clinics. We're just kind of finishing out our commitments and then allowing walk-ins as necessary.
Thank you.
Hey, Councilmember Scagliola.
Yeah, Ms. Summer, thank you so very much for your everything that you do. All the volunteers, it's just been absolutely wonderful. Have we gone out to the community with kind of like the traveling band and vaccinated individuals?
Yes, sir, we do. We have been doing several on-site clinics. So we reached out to many of the businesses around the Schertz community, Schertz and Cibolo community, and several areas that were more likely to have homebound residents or residents that might have a harder time getting to us. So like the Schertz Housing Authority, we did assisted living facilities, Scenic Hills, 55 and over living. So we've reached out to many of those communities and have been going in and doing smaller clinics on site at those locations, and we'll be finishing out those in the next couple of weeks as well, doing their second doses. So we've done some of the businesses around town, and then, like I say, some of those that are more likely to have homebound residents.
That's wonderful. I generally, when I ask a question, I already know the answer.
Sure.
I just want to give you the opportunity to take credit for the extra measures the city is going to in order to get the vaccinations out there. What's the plans for the future?
So at this point, and let me just bring up one thing. Thank you for mentioning that. We do want to make sure that we invite all of the folks that have helped with the clinics over. I mean, we have had a multitude of community support getting these clinics done, and so we have a staff and volunteer photo this Thursday after our clinic at 4:30, and then we're working on an appreciation event for all the folks that have just made it possible to vaccinate our community. As we move forward, we are working to direct those folks still needing vaccines to local clinics here in town. So we're working to identify where those clinics are and provide that information to the residents as we move forward. You know, this initial push was to assist the clinics when they weren't able to handle the volume, and now that we're back in this place where it's more of like a flu vaccination type of demand, we can, you know, support the local pharmacies and clinics here in town that are offering those vaccines and direct our residents to those.
That's excellent. I think it's important to note that the focus has really shifted from the number of cases, which are going down, to the percentage of vaccinated individuals, which seems to be climbing rather steeply. And once again, it's through efforts of individuals like you. Thank you so very much.
And thank you for all of your support. Most of you have been to the clinics and done so much work there, and we just couldn't have made it without y'all, so thank you so much.
That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. No other comments? Thank you, Ms. Hall. All right, we'll move back to discussion items. Item number 5. Resolution.
Mayor, if you please, you read the resolution, and I don't want discussion on this. All I have to say is I'd like to publicly recognize and laud Amber Beard's performance at the SSLGC. She is a City of Schertz employee, but she spends most of her time in Seguin, working with the Schertz Seguin Local Government Corporation. And I didn't even... Okay, you're going to stand here in front of us. Let me thank you for your performance and for your decisions that you had to make. It was very, very tough decisions, but you kept our source of water secure for the residents of Schertz and Seguin and a lot of the outlying communities through the Great Freeze. You did, well, I know you didn't do it alone. You've got a wonderful staff, you got a wonderful board to work with, and I know you got our full support. And that's all I really wanted to say. I'll give you the opportunity to rebut my praise, if you like.
You know, it was a team effort. I'll give all the credit to my team. We have a great staff, and we also had a lot of coordination with both cities and their management teams in making those decisions. So.
And that's all I had, sir. And with that, I make the motion to approve resolution number 21R40.
Second. We have motion by Councilmember Scagliola, second by Councilmember Dalla. Any other comments, questions?
Just one.
Yes, Councilmember Hayward.
Just to concur with Dr. Scagliola. Amber's doing a fantastic job.
All right. All right, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 We have 6 ayes, no objection, motion passes. We'll move on to item number 10, ordinance number 21S14. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately 39.5 acres of land to Planned Development District located 4,000 feet southeast of the intersection between 1518 and Lower Seguin Road, also known as Bexar County, property identification numbers 310024 and 310031, Bexar County, Texas, final reading.
Okay, Mayor, once again, I don't need a briefing on this. I pulled this because of a procedural thing. Generally, it shouldn't show up on a consent agenda if any member of the council voted nay, and I believe we had one that voted nay the last time this came before council. Unfortunately, the individual who voted nay is not here at the moment, so I don't have anything further to add to it. As I said, it was just procedural.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 21S14.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve ordinance number 21S14 by Councilman Scagliola, second by Councilmember Hayward. Council, any other comments? Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
We have 6 ayes, no objection, motions passes. Okay. Next is item number 11, ordinance number 21S15, an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Schertz, Texas, amending the official zoning map by rezoning approximately 66 acres of land to Planned Development District, PDD, located southwest of the intersection between Schertz Parkway and Wiederstein Road, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, final reading. Dr. Scagliola, you pulled this one out. The floor is yours.
Yeah, once again, I really don't need a lot of time with this. I just wanted to make it clear that when I voted to approve the PDD, that's what the approval was for. In my view, the PDD is far superior to the zoning that was in place prior to that. Now, I understand a lot of residents are upset with this. I've gotten a couple of emails, and I've addressed a couple of individuals. Let me make it perfectly clear. All we did last week was approve the PDD, which, as I stated, in my mind, is a much better alternative than the zoning that was put in place. As far as the conceptual plan, I had a whole bunch of reasons, and P&Z had a whole bunch of reasons that they weren't comfortable with that conceptual plan. And I thought most of those issues were addressed in the briefing that you gave last week. I'd very much like those slides that we were given to be given to the P&Z Commission also. I'm starting to get an uncomfortable feeling that a lot of members on the P&Z, think they're wasting their time, because they are our subject matter experts. We rely on them for a lot of the information that flows back and forth. And it seems like, well, you know, they vote no, and then it comes before the city council, and we just change the ruling, as though we don't really consider all the efforts they put into it. And that really isn't the case, because in between the P&Z meeting and the city council, a lot of changes were made to that conceptual plan. Enough so that apparently most people up on this dais didn't have a problem, even with the conceptual plan. I still don't like the Wiederstein Road, and apparently I wasn't the only one, because Councilmember Davis was opposed to it. Councilmember Scott was opposed to it. That's 3 individuals. Today, I came in and there is a new conceptual design for the Wiederstein. Yeah, we're given this almost like an ultimatum. Well, you have to approve this or else. No, come on. I had a half a dozen reasons why I believe that you know, going with the old zoning map couldn't, shouldn't be accomplished. I think Mr. Eugenio was one of those reasons. I don't believe he would let that happen, given that much controversy. We got a redesign of the Wiederstein flow. Is it perfect? I don't know. You know, quite frankly, I'd still love to see a calming circle like they have in Riata, like they have in Homestead. I would love to see that concept, but in this conceptual plan now, there's far fewer houses that will be backing out onto the road, and that, hey, changes can't be made, and that's a good thing. So 2 things really. 1, please clear up with the planning and zoning how much we appreciate their activities, how they keep their finger on the pulse, because this has to go back to the planning and zoning. I don't know if I'll ever see this plat again until the houses are in place, because like I said, all we did was approve the zoning. It's going to be up to P&Z. For the residents who still have concerns about this plat, well, P&Z will be addressing it. And that's about all I have to say, sir.
All right, thank you, Dr. Scagliola. I might add, before I recognize another council member, the Planning and Zoning Committee, we do appreciate what you do. As you can see, either comments that were mentioned during the Planning and Zoning regarding this PDD were taken into consideration by the developer. He made some adjustments. So the actual plan that you saw during your Planning and Zoning had actually made a difference when it came to council. So please do not interpret our actions as to we didn't listen. We did, and the developer listened and made those adjustments. And I'd like to thank our Planning and Zoning Commission for pointing those out, because it did allow for these changes to happen. All right, I'll go ahead and recognize Councilmember Davis.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Scagliola for pulling this from consent. I was going to pull it myself. As I understand it, as a point of order, in general, consent agenda items are those that are routine or non-contentious. And again, this item last week was not a unanimous vote. And as a matter of fact, this one item actually had a motion to table it before we had a non-unanimous vote on it. So I was quite surprised to see it on the consent agenda portion. As I understand it, reading the packet, there have been some modifications to the PDD that we received and were briefed on last week. So I would like to get a briefing on the current modifications first before I comment.
Okay, great. So Mayor, Council, kind of 2 things. I want to go over the public hearing responses and also the changes that were made from the last meeting. So from the last city council meeting, there was several changes that were discussed, such as going from the 7.5-foot setback to the 6-foot setback, changing the cul-de-sacs from 100 feet to 120 feet. So all of those that were discussed at the last meeting were incorporated. And then this slide shows one additional that was incorporated as well based on the discussion at that May 4th meeting. So in the orange text, specifically the bold portion, alleys shall be allowed to the north side of Wiederstein if approved by the engineering and planning departments as part of the master development plan process. So the developer has made a modification to that PDD design standards again to allow not just an alley on the south portion of the proposed Wiederstein, but also the north portion as well, to try to alleviate some of the driveways coming onto Wiederstein. So that is one of the modifications. The other modification that was done in between the May 4th and May 11th meetings was a clarification basically on the minimum lot width, lot depth dimensions, where that is measured at. It's just a clarification point, just so everybody knows how that measurement is made. But this is truly the one change that played a significant impact, not allowing just the alleys on the south portion of Wiederstein, but also proposing that they could be allowed on the north portion as well. And then in terms of the public hearing responses, we did receive a petition late last night that we have reviewed and evaluated, which does push this item to 21.15%, so it does require a supermajority for approval. So as you can see, the map on this side of the screen, all of the red properties within the legal 200-foot notice provided an opposition response. The green properties did not provide a response at all, so we are at the 21.15%, so it does require that 3/4 affirmative vote.
Okay, thank you. Not to completely rehash my comments from last week. Again, the vast majority of this area down there is zoned residential or neighborhood services. This area is going to develop. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And as I said last week, I think the initial offering here with the coving plan is a great product. I think it's something unique to the area and the community. In light of the area that we're talking about, I think the proposed development goes above and beyond in trying to mitigate clearing of trees and goes very far into trying to save as many of the larger trees down there that are currently on the property, above and beyond what we would typically want. But again, my concern, again, this is the coving plan is far better than the existing grid pattern from the late 60s. But my problem is with a PDD, it inserts into the process a higher level of flexibility in developing this property. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of that flexibility is a gray area. I am very happy to see the inclusion of the option of a alleyway or slip road, whatever you want to call it, on the north side, because I did have concerns about the reconfiguration of Wiederstein, coupled with on-street parking, coupled with driveway access. And I understand that the proposed drawing that we have here now does mitigate a lot of those to a great degree. But again, my concern with the PDD is the fact that it's relatively flexible, and we don't have a lot of firm, hard answers that I think would make council feel a lot better in general, or the residents a lot better in general. Again, ultimately, this area is zoned residential. It's zoned to be built for houses. A lot of folks don't want to see houses down there, but zoning is zoning, and it's not something that council is just going to kill one property owner's allowance on their property versus what somebody else wants. I think council in the past has generally deferred a great deal to property owners and giving them the right and the ability to develop their property within reasonable measures. And again, I think the coving plan in general, I think the plan coming forward from Mr. Eugenio and his team, I think it's a great plan in general. I just still have concerns about the generalness of a PDD with regards to some of the traffic and safety measures in this area. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker?
I have a couple questions before some comments. So on this, moving the alleyway behind on the north side of Wiederstein, we're still keeping the parking on Wiederstein, is that correct? So the width of the road is still the, sorry.
What the applicant has done, to be clear, he's given himself the option to alley load that. Doesn't have to, isn't a requirement.
Okay.
So I think likely what staff would do is once he makes that decision, he comes forward with the plat. At that point, we'll work with him on the appropriate cross-section of the street. And then when the plat goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission, likely he would need a variance or a waiver to the subdivision ordinance requirements for that street design standard. So I would say, you know, part of the challenge here is the bridge narrows, so we know it has to taper down, but then part of the issue is with the hike and bike lanes, the on-street parking, things like that. So we're going to wait till the applicant comes forward with a proposal. We'll review that. Staff will make a recommendation with the plating at the Planning and Zoning Commission. So at this point, to Councilman Davis's point, we don't know. From staff's perspective, we don't want to decide that right now because what we think may be the best thing may be dependent on how he chooses to lay it out.
Okay. But moving the alleyway behind those houses does not take away the parking, because you're not going to park in the alleyway. So you'd still need the on-street parking along Wiederstein.
So that would be the issue, yeah. So as council discussed, having the alleys eliminates the need for the driveway and backing onto the road. But what that effectively means, though, is most of the visitors are going to park on Wiederstein. And we need to make sure that if we know that's going to happen, we develop a cross-section that's as safe as possible for that to occur.
Okay. Okay, so that was question one. Question two, just I'm making an assumption, but on this map, you've got all the circles. That's all the identified trees that will be retained. Is that correct? Do you know what I'm saying?
Which map is that on?
Oh, I'm sorry. This one?
Not necessarily. We have not seen a tree survey that lays that out. So at this point, we don't know exactly where all those trees will be that will be preserved.
I think Mr. Eugenio could answer that question, sir. Okay, so they're the existing heritage trees? Okay.
Oh, okay. So that's not, they're not, okay. Okay, so, it's interesting. I agree with Councilman Scagliola that I did think it was important to mention that with planning and zoning not approving and then us going through and approving, it did from a distance look disjointed. But I do feel like that we listened, or I listened, and I feel like I heard the council members listen to the concerns, and I feel like we identified very specific concerns that were very specifically addressed with either modifications and or explanations as to how that's going to work. And I think that's important because I think there's a tendency to be really strongly opposed to something and kind of holding on to that thing that you just, it's more of a feeling, you know, like that's really going to bother me. But I like to deal in facts and, you know, like let's look at the numbers or let's look at the actual impact. And, you know, even if your gut says that sounds wrong, if we can show based on either history or, you know, the evidence that it's going to work out, then I'd like to go with that. One of the things, for example, is the curvature of the road. Now, there is no other Wiederstein between 3009 and Schertz Parkway anywhere else in the world, so it's not like we can take this development and, you know, compare it exactly to any other development, but they are doing this design, and it hasn't caused a problem in the previous developments. And there are, I mean, I've driven through communities with curved roads, and so I think it is doable. I think that is an example of I mean, maybe we could investigate further, but I do think it's always going to be something where people will look at it and go, it doesn't feel right to me because I'm used to this straight road and I'm used to a pass-through. And I've heard from some residents and some people who work in the community who said that that's a frequently traveled road as a pass-through. Again, if it's developed as a community, as a neighborhood, which it's zoned to be done, it's going to develop with residential houses, and there's going to be kids there and people walking their dogs. So that road is going to be more populated, whether it's curved or not curved. So I think what maybe we need to do is kind of shift our mindset to it's just not going to be the same pass through anymore because it's going to be a residential neighborhood. It needs to slow down. People need to slow down going through there, and that's part of when you develop something, things are going to change. It's not going to be the same. I'm not a big fan of change, but I see the need for that, and I see the benefit of having that curvature in the road to develop this type of community and have very unique property layouts that are going to be unlike what we've seen before and very desirable, and people will be willing to pay what it's going to be required to pay to purchase a house in that neighborhood. So I just wanted to point that out. And then the other, I think the strongest opposition from the residents, as we heard earlier, is really about what they're losing. And what they're losing is what's been wonderful all of these years, which is wildlife and trees and, you know, natural beauty behind their homes. And who wouldn't want to retain that? But I think as everyone up here has acknowledged, that that's not able to be retained. Unless you own the property, you don't get to decide whether that stays or whether that goes. So I think it's really, I just wanted to emphasize that I am hearing that concern. I think all the council members have heard that concern from the residents, whether it's via email, the letters. I know it came up with the medical facility that's being built on 3009, that the concern with those neighbors behind, they lost all those beautiful trees. And I feel awful about that, because if I purchased a property that had beautiful trees behind it, I'd love to keep it that way. But unfortunately, unless you own the property, you don't have the control over what's over your fence. So I'd like to just say, with empathy, I hear those residents, but ultimately that issue is not something that I feel as a council member it's my right to deny a PDD based on a neighbor's desire to maintain wilderness, because that's not his property. So and as it is already zoned to be developed, that's going to it's going to be inevitable. So I think this is a nice option. So I guess I wanted to emphasize, I feel like we're listening, and I want to point out that someone else is listening too. That concerns are being heard. I think that's really important. So however we vote tonight does not mean we're not hearing and we're just completely blowing over what's being presented. I'm trying to make a conscious effort to hear everything that's been presented and see if we've actually addressed it in a way that makes sense, that we could move forward with those changes made. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Dalla.
You know, first let me say, express my appreciation to planning and zoning. You know, they brought forth some concerns, and because of that, you know, there's been some pretty significant changes to this, and you know, definitely their efforts are not unappreciated. Also appreciate the conversations and the correspondence with the members of the community that have spoken out on this, either for it or against it. You know, the voices have not been unheard. You know, as council members, you know, we have to look at the overall picture, what's best for the entire community of 44,000 residents. And you know, over the last week, I've done quite a bit of reading, numerous articles, some research, and I found a real good article, and I took some excerpts from it and added to it, and I just want to go through this here. Just take a couple minutes. But nobody likes the taste of cookie cutter development. The 1963 plat is the epitome of that. I've heard the planning commissioners, residents, fellow council members complain about the same thing for years. Developers submit the same recipes to cook up bland subdivisions over and over again. But while the developers are considered the scapegoat, it's us who sit on the council and planning commissions that are as much, if not more, to blame. Communities have a cookbook that tells the developer and the design consultant the ingredients that must be used. This is called the ordinance. Just as one might bake cookies using clearly defined amounts of flour and sugar, the cook looks to the ordinance to see that he will need exactly 10 feet between homes at precisely a 20-foot setback from the curb, served up on a lot no greater than 5,600 square feet. Thus, 100 cookies baked from the same recipe are about as appealing as the 100 lots built on Pleasant Acres. The scrumptious pastel coloring rendering promises a tasteful development, but the end result leaves us wanting more. A cookie cutter development is called a subdivision. A really large cookie cutter development is called a master plan community. And in the end, no matter what its size, when you look down the street on which people live, both the subdivision and master plan community have the same feel. Why? Because the ordinance says so. Yes, it's true that the ordinance does not say anything about how to make creative, wonderful, sustainable communities. It only demands certain minimum dimensions and area restraints. But the key problem is that the developer, the engineer, the surveyor, and the planners think that the term minimum means the absolute dimensions. An advantage that we have in Schertz is that citizens who sit on our planning commission and council have more common sense than those consultants give us credit for. When we don't like the feel of what we're getting, we say so. Admittedly, we have struggled to define what it is we want to see in residential development going forward, and the conversation about it defining needs to be continued and encouraged to find that common agreed definition. We have talked for years about the need to do better development, and with this PDD concept with coding design, it is a great opportunity to do so. The more efficient use of land resulting in less infrastructure to maintain in the future, the larger lots, more green space, and curving roads are all elements we should view favorably. The coving plan design is new to us, but it's not new itself. It has proven to be both successful and a game changer in residential development where it's been used in the past, and I hope it'll be a precursor to more development like this in our city as we look to update our comp plan and UDC later this year. That's all I have.
Okay, Councilmember Haywood.
Yes, I just want to let Planning and Zoning Commission know that we heard them. We hear them, and I know that we tend not to disagree regularly with Planning and Zoning and council and even with staff. We don't disagree all the time. And when we do, it tends to be, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing and the biggest thing in the world. It becomes a mountain instead of a molehill because we disagree. And for me, it's like when we have the Planning and Zoning Commission and then they have their meeting, and if the developer listens, I'm making the suggestion that once those changes are made so that the commission knows what is going to be presented to council ahead of time so that they know what product we're getting. Because they saw one product and we saw something different, and it made confusion. And that troubled me with that. Because I'm like, I know we tend not to do that. We tend to always agree and make that. And so I want to, going forward, to make sure that something goes out to the commissioners to let them know that something was changed so that they know what council's getting and voting on ahead of time. Because I don't like them to feel like they sat there and they did the work and then we just said, oh, well, so sad, too bad. And I don't like that feeling. I know I don't like it, and I wouldn't want to continue to do that with them. And the question I do have, though, is because everyone talks about how well-traveled Wiederstein is, was there a traffic study done on that?
Yes, ma'am, the developer did a TIA.
Okay, so on that TIA, what was the numbers that we're getting roughly on how well it's traveled, or is it traveled more doing I-35 backup, or just?
Yeah, and I have to apologize. I don't have the data for it. So the TIA that we did, to be clear, and certainly he can, if you want him to get up and answer, you can.
Yeah, I sure, if the developer can answer that question, definitely, please step up. Yes, please. Name and title so we can know.
I'm sorry, say that.
Name and title.
Kerry Kaler, Director, Residential Development for Westwood.
Thank you.
Mr. Eugenio's engineer. There was a traffic study done, 2019. It was 2,000 vehicles per day was what the traffic study indicated. The city of Schertz's collector designation goes from 2,000 to 18,000 vehicles. So we're on the lower end of what is designated for a collector. And then a local designation for the city of Schertz goes from 200 to 1,500. And just on a side note, in San Antonio, a collector section is anything over 8,000, whereas there's two different local designations in San Antonio, a local A and a local B. A local B would be 1,000 to 4,000 vehicles per day, which is a 60-foot right-of-way, 40-foot pavement section. And so, I mean, we're half of what a local B would be in San Antonio. So just a little bit of info.
Thank you. And then the other thing is, for me, is after looking at the 1963, I think it is, plat, going to the new Coving plat, and then I actually took a drive, and I can't remember the subdivision in New Braunfels, just to see what it looks like, and it actually looks like you have more green space out there, so it saves that. And I know that typically when we develop, we always are concerned about the wildlife that's there, but as I find, the wildlife finds a way to coexist with residents. As we all know, if you've driven through New Braunfels in the middle of the day in some of the residential areas, the deer are just frolicking around and people feed them. So the deer in New Braunfels are well taken care of by the residents because they know they were displaced. And I think the same will occur here. They will find a way. In my neighborhood, we have deer. We have a coyote that kind of travels in the residential area. We haven't had any issues with those. So they find a way. And I know that all the ones that are there, I know you like green space. We all love to look out and not have to have a neighbor behind us. And I hear that and I understand that. But again, I have to concur with others that when you own the property, you get to do what you want to do within reason when it comes to development. And Texas is a property rights state, and so you have a right to kind of do what it is you want to do within reason and with the city when you're developing a PDD, because it was zone R2 and they want to change it to a PDD. And I think looking at this coving pattern and looking the way it is, it's something different, it's something new. It's a chance for Schertz to try something new to see if that's a direction we want to go. I know as far as the city, having the way the roads are done, it will cost us less to maintain the road going forward, because we have like 300 miles of road that we have to maintain. And I just think it's something unique, and it's not giving us, it's giving us that premier look that everyone talks about, the city of Schertz having a premier housing development and a premier city. And I think it gives us that, and it gives us that wow factor possibly, so that other people will say, oh, I like this. And so, and I think the price point will get us there. And so I think, you know, I just want the residents to know we do hear you, and planning and zoning, we hear you. But it's not for us to make the decision based on feelings. We have to go based on factual information and knowing that that's going to grow, and it's already zoned. Schertz is growing. A couple years ago, I went to a guiding Guadalupe, and to know that Schertz is going to eventually grow to about 80,000 people. And I know we all look and go, where are they going to put all these people? But there's areas in every place that's residential or is a farm or, you know, just vacant land that has been there. It's going to get developed because it was zoned that way. And I think the reservations I did have at first was the curved street, but knowing it's a residential and the curving, the people will have to slow down and hopefully pay attention and not try to make a straight road out of that curved road. I have to just say, I don't know how we're all going to vote, but I think it's a good plan, and I think it's something worth trying.
Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, thank you. Once again, we're supposed to be voting on the PDD. All right, and yes, it does provide a little bit more leeway for the developer, but I think that's a good thing versus coming in with a
redeveloping straight streets, 90-degree corners, and 50 by 110-foot lots. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Selma side has got some nice little homes on it, but it's not exactly a premier community. It's got open drainage, things along that line. It was, done on the cheap, if you will, and that's the last thing we need. I want to give the developer kudos for making quick adjustments to the plan, and hearing what both planning and zoning had to say, as well as council here last week. It's much appreciated, and like the rest of the folks up here, I also talked with planning and zoning on the side, and the changes that were made between their meeting and our meeting were significant. So it's not like we were just saying no to P&Z by any means. We take their input very seriously. But yeah, so the coving plan, the PDD, I think are absolutely approvable at this point, if you will. Unfortunately, to the adjacent property owners, again, I mean, as I said before, I feel for you, but it's going to be developed. Let's develop it as nice and as quality as possible. He maintains, the developer here maintains a lot of green space. There'll still be wildlife out there. The couple of homes that have more than one backing to them, well, that's, you look at the overall city of Schertz layout, and it's a whole lot nicer than our communities on our east and west side that have a whole lot of this straight street, 90-degree block corner layout. So again, I appreciate continuing modern development, utilizing the space to its highest and best use. So, again, we're never going to be perfect, but we shouldn't try to legislate each lot size from this dais either. So,
all right. Thank you, Councilmember Brown. I just want to add, the developer presented the plan during the planning and zoning, made the changes. He heard what planning and zoning's comments were, and made the appropriate adjustments. He presented it to council, and there was an issue that was brought up concerning driveways facing Wiederstein, and the developer has attempted within 1 week to make those adjustments, and hopefully that will satisfy the council. Mr. James, I have one question for you. Since they did provide the 20% of the residents, it requires a 3/4 majority of council. And my interpretation then is that 3/4% of council is 6 members. Although we only have 6 present, it requires the majority in this situation. Am I correct?
It would require all 6.
All 6.
Vote in favor of it for this to be approved. Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, is there a motion to approve ordinance number 21S15?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Dalla, second by Councilmember Hayward. Council, any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Aye.
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 I still have concerns about the driveways on Wiederstein. But with the flexibility in the PDD, I'm hoping that we will continue to address that with our city engineering. I'll vote aye.
Aye.
We have a unanimous vote. PDD is passed. All right, roll call confirmation. Our City Secretary, Brenda Dennis, will provide a roll call confirmation for consent agenda items 1 through 4, 6 through 9, and discussion items 5, 10, and 11. Ms. Dennis?
Yes, sir, Mayor. Consent agenda items 1 through 4 and 6 through 9. A motion was made by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, seconded by Councilmember Brown. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmembers Davis, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes. No one voted no. Motion passed. Item number 5, resolution number 21R40. A motion was made by Councilmember Scagliola, seconded by Councilmember Dalla. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Council Members Davis, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed. Item number 10, ordinance number 21S14 on final reading. Motion was made by Councilmember Scagliola, seconded by Councilmember Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmembers Davis, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed. Item number 11, ordinance number 21S15 on final reading. Motion was made by Councilmember Dalla, seconded by Councilmember Hayward. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker, Councilmembers Davis, Dalla, Scagliola, Hayward, Brown voted yes, no one voted no. Motion passed.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. All right, we move on to item number 13. It is a closed session. The City Council will meet in closed session under Section 551.087 of the Texas Governmental Code. Deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, closed meeting. The governmental body is now required to conduct an open meeting to discuss or deliberate regarding commercial, financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body, and with which the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations, or number 2, to deliberate the offer of financial or other incentives to the business prospect. This is in reference to Project E065, Project E066, Project E067, and Project E068. The time is now 7:33. We will reconvene after our discussion. The time is now 7:59. We reconvene into our regular session after our discussion and deliberation regarding the closed session in reference to agenda item number 13 in regards to Project E065, Project E066, Project E067, and Project E068. There is no action required, therefore no vote confirmation is required. I'd like to point out item number 14 is an monthly update on our major projects, our capital improvement projects. Item number 15 are quarterly financial reports. These are information packets that were provided to council and available for public viewing at our website, Schertz.com. With that, we'll continue with requests and announcements. Announcements by our city manager, Dr. Brown.
I have nothing further, Mayor.
Okay. Council, any possible updates or information requested by staff? Council, any possible items you'd like to place on the future agenda? No, all right. Let's go to announcements by council member. Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker.
Just two things. Finished the Citizens Police Academy this week, so I graduated and I'm an alumni. And look out for citizens on patrol. When we get a vehicle, I'm patrolling. And what was the other thing? Oh, and we respectably, is that a word? We did a really good job representing the city of Schertz at the Chamber's golf tournament yesterday. The city team did win the closest to the pin. Hooray. And I won a raffle basket, so it was a full success. That is all.
Councilmember Davis.
I had the pleasure of attending the community meeting last night up in Northcliffe Community Center with the Parks Department presentation on the Hilltop Park. I think the staff did a great job of presenting the vision of the city for a very large park on the north side. I think it was a great deal. And then I also had to attend the Housing Authority meeting last night. The Housing Authority Board and the Housing Authority staff are eagerly looking forward to our joint session coming up and having an open dialogue with the council. That's it.
Councilmember Dalla.
I attended the meeting in Northcliffe as well last night, and there was great conversation, great turnout and participation by the residents there.
Councilmember Scagliola.
Let's see, last week went out to the SSLGC groundbreaking in Nixon, Texas. Attended the chamber ribbon cutting for a little jazz, bring a little bit of razzle dazzle to the community. I attended the COVID clinic this past Saturday, and also went out to the Hilltop Parks discussion. Kudos to the staff for putting that together, and thank you, Mr. James, for taking some of the heat off of us. That's all I have.
Councilmember Hayward.
I attended the SSLGC groundbreaking out in Nixon. Good to see, excuse me, good to see that we'll have 6 new wells and a plant out there for Schertz and the future of Schertz and anyone else that needs it. I attended the Schertz Animal Advisory Committee meeting just to see what it was like, and went back to see what it was like because I missed it. And that was a good turnout over there, and getting to see a lot of the updates that they have done at the animal shelter. I attended the plaque presentation at the chamber for Tiny Jazz, not Little Jazz. And so they got to play, and I heard them before, and it's really cool just to see the two of them play, and they sound really big when they're out there playing. I attended the golf tournament. I don't play golf. I did not play golf, but I did assist in taking tickets for the daily drive, so people got to cheat a little bit on one of those holes out there. They got to go up 150 yards, so I did do that, sit out in the golf course in the sun. And then I attended the Hilltop Homestead Park that Parks and Recs put on, and it was a good project. And again, concurring with Dr. Scagliola, Brian James taking some of the heat off of us. And that is all.
Councilmember Brown.
Nothing tonight, sir.
All right. The time is now 8:04. We stand adjourned.